Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, in Africa, Allah has tested us with abject poverty. And if we are not careful, we'll be tempted to use unlawful means to break that jinx or break away from the multi-generational cycle of poverty. A typical African like you and me struggling with life right now is poor. We are all poor. And chances are our fathers were poor. And chances are our fathers' fathers were poor. And if we don't take care and put our acts together, we will die poor. And our children too will live poor. Our children's children will also live poor. And our great-grandchildren will live poor. Show me one single Ghanaian who is rich, and I'll tell you the person's riches is a one-off, or the person's riches are a one-off. Can you mention any rich person? And I'll tell you his father was a pauper, or his grandfather was a pauper. Mention one person. I throw the challenge. Please go and listen to Despite talk about the struggles he went through. Despite was actually selling CDs, and despite productions, they were selling CDs. He came from a very humble home. Any other rich person you can think of? Akufo-Addo, the president. Would you classify him as rich? I don't see that. No, these are all average people. I'm sorry. These are average people. Abraham came from the same dad with Mahama. Kwabnadofo. Apart from Kufo, you can't trace any rich person in their family. Show me one person. Tell me he's rich, his father was rich, his grandfather was rich. And mind you, the pastors, control a lot of cash. Listen to their personality profiles. They will tell you where they came from. Very poor people, very, very poor backgrounds. So in the midst of this abject poverty, this bleak and irreparable condition that we find ourselves, there is a great temptation for us to want to cut corners and find ways of breaking away from the jinx of poverty. There are only a few Ghanaian families that can count up to 3 generations of wealth. Mention one, and I'll tell you, the person came from a very, very poor background. Ladies and gentlemen, faced with this bleak reality of perennial penury, if I can put it that way, young people like us are tempted to adopt unlawful or shortcut ways to break the yoke of poverty. We now care more about halal food than we do about halal wealth. Everybody wants money. How you come about that money, nobody cares. What are some of the ways through which we get money today? And I have a friend, he's a very wealthy young man. He comes from a very poor background. I asked him, how did you make your wealth? He said, every wealth has got a secret. So there are very few people that have used really clean and wholesome ways of making money. Sorry to say, a lot of the money you see in the system is as a result of corruption. A politician who was a teacher, and all apologies to teachers, who was a teacher only before they came into power, can boast of quite a number of assets. We are not saying it is wrong to be successful in life. Please don't get us wrong. But when you use ways that are not genuine, then Islam has every reason to question that wealth. You have an uncle who has made so much out of politics. Nobody asks, how did you come by that wealth? And in the private sector, you find people find ways of cheating the system, understating and overstating, doing overdrafts, just to make money. Because society has told you the indices of success are in the physical things you amass. Build yourself a house, buy yourself a car. Those are the things that are used to measure wealth. And some people, I'm sorry, are engaged in narcotics trade. Some people sell or push cocaine to make money. And every now and then you see reports by the Narcotics Control Board about how pervasive this problem is. very young persons with so much wealth, amassing so much, nobody questions them. But in fact, when you investigate them, they are involved in cocaine. Then there is internet fraud or sakawa. People pretend they have a gold consignment. They lure Arabs and white people into the jurisdiction and then fleece them of hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are easy ways of making money. And society has come to embrace these ways without questioning. And then gambling and sports betting. There are so many casinos in town. People tell you, put in 5 Ghana cedis. The National Lottery Authority, put in 5 Ghana cedis, you win this match. Sports betting companies continue to lure us. They say, place a bet on a match between Team A and Team B, and you could be on your way to fortunes or making fortunes. These are ways that have been normalized by society. We don't question. There are people who are living on campus. They live large. They use the smartest gadgets, and everybody knows they are engaged in one form of gambling or another. They engage in sports betting, and nobody will question them how they came by their money. And then people engage in money rituals. People don't mind killing babies, cutting away people's tongues, sacrificing their own close relations like their mothers or sisters. In some cases, their wives or daughters, just to make money. And nobody questions them. There are houses where they tell you, this particular room, since we came into this house, nobody enters it except the owner. And the day the person dies, they break the lock of the room and they find out the person has engaged in one form of a ritual. There are people who dress really nicely. They are the respected ones in society. But they have snakes in their inner chambers that vomit fresh banknotes for them every day. And mind you, money rituals come with conditions. Everything you are going to do on earth, Allah has measured it. And there's a long hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ talks about the chronology of the development of the embryo in the womb of a woman until it becomes a fetus. And at some point, Allah sends the angel to decree 4 things. And one of those is how much wealth you will get, the quantum of food you will eat, how much air you will breathe in, how much water you will drink. All of that has been decreed. But when you find a satanic way of amassing or taking away the souls of other people to add up their wealth onto yours, that is unnatural. And therefore there will be consequences or repercussions. I went to a city to do one of the usual talks, and I was told every morning there are mad people that have been bewildered, they've been bewitched. And what the mad people do is that they sit by the roadside and they count every car that passes. And the people in the city have come to realize those people are called passes they count. In the spiritual realm, some of your wealth while you are in the car will be taken by the spirits and given some guy who has engaged in that ritual. And they wake up one morning and all the mad people are killed. So they've been programmed by the spirits, and wherever the young men go to, that this is how much you are supposed to amass for us, after that we kill you. So there are people who have so much money, you don't have to be envious of them. And